Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And it's so crazy out there that this weekend, one of the most putrid teams you'll ever see, a team that it's unexplainable how bad they are, the New York Jets, shocked the NFL by winning their first game of the year. And they did it in Cincinnati. Now, the Bengals lost to the Jets 38-39 on Sunday in Cincinnati, blowing a 31-16 lead and a 38-24 lead in the fourth quarter. This is a Jet team that had trouble completing passes just last week. Their first 7 games, they have been shamefully embarrassing on offense. This same Jet team against Zach Taylor's Cincinnati Bengal defense, if those guys even think of cashing their checks this week, they should be ashamed of themselves. The Jets scored on 3 straight possessions and converted on 2 two-point conversions to rally for their first victory of the season. How absurd is that? Now, the Bengals are 3-5. They could have been 4-4. They should be 4-4. And they could be positioning themselves, especially with the Steelers losing last night. And Mike Tomlin is you talk about a guy who whatever about him. The Bengals could have been in good position to be competitive in the division, maybe even win the division and get into the playoffs. Now they gotta win. They gotta almost not win out, but I think 9-8, 10-7 could get them in. But that's a long haul. Now they're 3-5, and their defense is a disaster. Now, here are some good things about the Bengals. Flacco played great again. 21 of 34, 223 yards, 2 TDs. He finished with a quarterback rating over 100. Hasn't thrown a pick in 3 starts. Knock on wood for him. He also became the oldest player in Bengal history to score a touchdown. He had a quarterback sneak in the first quarter that gave the Bengals a 10-0 lead. And yeah, you're thinking, there they go. They're on their way. Easy win. The Bengals had everything going for them. They were running the football. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. They had 181 yards of rushing offense. When you have over 150 yards of rushing offense, your chances of winning have skyrocketed. 180 yards, it's inconceivable that you lose that game, especially to the Jets, especially to a team like the Jets. But Cincinnati, as most professional teams in Ohio, they always find a way to lose. Always. It's got to be something. It's got to be the river. Now, who is to blame here? As I said, the defense wasn't bad. They weren't shocking. They were shameful. They were embarrassingly bad. But Zach Taylor, their head coach, who might get fired after this year, he needed to get points on the board in one of the final 2 possessions the Bengals had. And they couldn't do it. They went 3 and out and turned the ball over on downs on the last possession. Couple that with Taylor's decision to run the ball on 2nd and 10 with 42 seconds left. Right? I mean, what is he doing? You wonder why this guy is losing games. And if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm not even thinking about coming back. The quarterbacks, as we saw with Lamar Jackson, there's rumors that he kind of like held himself out because he got pissed off at practice, whatever. These quarterbacks, once they have these guaranteed money, they're literally the most powerful guy outside of the owner on the team, and even more powerful than the owner because they have the team at their beck and call. But he shouldn't even come back. Let Flacco finish the year. But Zach Taylor's responsible for the defense. He's the head coach. And the defense it's not, like I said, it's not awful. It's putrid. It's embarrassing. They can't tackle. They can't rush the passer. They can't do anything fundamentally sound. They're a reflection of the coaching of this team, and Zach Taylor is the head coach of this team. The defense allowed 502 yards of offense to the Jets. The Jets have only gotten 500 yards of offense twice in 25 years. And guess who it happened against both times? The fucking Bengals. Now, I am not a Bengals fan, but I was just watching this game yesterday, and it was totally unacceptable. The defense didn't do anything. They didn't stop the run. They didn't rush the passer. They struggled at forcing turnovers when the Jets basically give you the ball. And listen, they're not a talented defensive team. They have Hendrickson, but you double team him, you shut him down. And they're talking about trading him. I don't know if that's the best thing to do, but they never got to Justin Field. They never sacked him. They hit him once. They're giving up the most points in the NFL. The Jets were 7 of 15 on third down, 2 of 3 on fourth down. This is a team who couldn't move the ball for 7 games. And the Jets win this game 39-38. And they're now 1-7. And now you think, well, it's on to next week for them. The Jets aren't going to win a lot of games this year. The Jets they're an embarrassment. They're a disaster. But they won their first game, and now they can go into they have the bye week. So they're going to go into their bye week a little giddy, a little happy. They finally get their first win. And good for them. Because good for their fans. Because their fans have been suffering. And if you're a Bengals fan, I mean, you almost have to now you're at the point now where if you want Burrow to survive, you don't want another Andrew Luck situation here. You want Burrow to survive here, you have to get a real head coach. Problem is nobody wants to work in Cincinnati. Maybe with Burrow, you might get somebody big, but yeah, they're going to have to fix that defense. And for the draft, defense has to be number one priority. Number one. They don't even look at offensive players. You got the best tandem of wide receivers in the league. You got great running game. You have no defense. You can't stop anybody. And that's what they're going to have to focus on in the offseason. I still think with Flacco, I think there's a glimmer of hope that they could make the playoffs, but they took a major step back yesterday, and they're in big trouble. Now, the Giants, they go into Philadelphia yesterday, and nobody expected them to spank the Eagles like they did a couple of weeks ago on Thursday night. The Giants made a big hoopla about that, and that pissed the Eagles off. The Eagles were upset, and the Eagles wanted to pay them back heavily, and they did. 277 yards rushing in a 38-20 win. You know, when you used to see numbers like that, many of you probably don't know this because you're too young. There used to be a team in college football, Tom Osborne's Nebraska Cornhuskers. They would put up 250, 300 yards rushing because they were primarily a heavy-duty running team. It was said that when you played Nebraska, you felt it 2 weeks later because they manhandled you. But when you see 277 yards rushing, you kind of know who won that game, unless you're playing the Bengals. Unless it's the Bengals getting 200 yards rushing, then you never know. But the Giants lose this game 38-20, but they lost a whole lot more than that. It was a terrible, terrible injury to Scatterboo, who is one half of the frat boys, one half of the resurgence of the Giants, that sunshine that finally was hitting Giantland with these two guys who just bring hope to you. Now the Giants, this season doesn't mean anything. They're 2-6. They'll probably win 3 or 4 more games. Hopefully not next week when I go against the Niners, but they'll probably win 2 or 3 more games. Maybe. They have a ton of injuries. But the Scadabo injury, and I'll show you here, was horrific. Dislocated, broken ankle. Reports say that the bone broke the skin. He had emergency surgery in Philadelphia last night. And the kid told Dable said in their press conference today that Scadabo said that his journey is not over here. Every kid thinks that. Every guy thinks that. And listen, with modern medicine today, an injury like this 30 years ago, he's not coming back. Modern medicine today, the way they rehab, he'll be back, but he won't be back for another year. He won't be back until maybe November 1st next year. This is the type of injury that it's, tendons, ligaments, all that shit's all fucked up. He's going to have to work on this really, really hard. But we pray for him and we wish him all the best. Now here is the horrific play, and it was on a pass play. It's what he does. He's really, really good at it. And I'm not in love with I'll show you, and then I'll tell you what I think.
Pressure up the middle, throws tipped, and it's incomplete. Eagles came free on a stunt up the middle. I think it was Zach Baun that time. It was on the pressure up the middle, throw.
I'm not in love with the way he was brought down and tackled. That's a very dangerous. Now, it doesn't look bad at first, but he really did come down. The defender, I don't know who it was. I don't know if that's Dejan or not. He kind of came down on him awkwardly. Is it done on purpose? No. He's totally on for dear life. But I'm not saying a flag should have been thrown out, but I just didn't like that play. But Scadabo is out for the year, and now Dart is going to be alone. This guy lost his number 1 wide receiver. Now he loses his number 1 back and his buddy. Now he's out there alone, and you know something? He may this may make him grow up a little faster. Now, the development of the team going forward is derailed a little bit. They, under no circumstances, can Dart get hurt. They cannot allow Dart to get knocked out for the season. They can't. He's got to finish the season. But this kind of puts a damper when you see a kid and you saw his foot just pointing the opposite way. It's just And listen, if you have a son that plays football, or if you play football, or somebody you kind of do a silent prayer before every game. I do it for my son. I pray before every wrestling match he has, because he's a pretty good wrestler. He's a great wrestler too. Because there are major injuries that can happen in wrestling. So I'm praying before the game or the match. I'm praying during the game and the match. And then you do a thankful prayer to God when no one gets hurt, especially your kid, after the game. But football is a violent sport. You expect there to be injuries. It's just part of this. It's part of the deal. The players don't think about it, but you do. And that's why it's very, very, it gets harder and harder every year for me to be in those stands. And, he plays wide receiver as a slot wide receiver. And sometimes he gets hit, but he bounces up, goes right back to that hole. And then you take a sigh of relief. But we're praying for Scadabo. He's good for New York. He's the New York type player. He's a player that New York loves. They love a kid like him. And we hope he recovers quickly and he's back on the field. He will be back on the field, but it won't be for the opening day. Of course, it'll probably be week 7 or 8. like around this time, because that's an injury that's going to require more than one surgery, probably. And on a sad note, we say goodbye to Giant legend Nick Mangold. He was the only bright spot in the last 25 years, one of the few bright spots for the Jets over the last 25 years. A tremendous center in college. He played for Ohio State. He actually he grew up not too far away from where the Jets got their first win yesterday, so that might have been like a little fairy dust there from old Nick. A great center, tremendous anchor for that offensive line. He, if you don't know, he had kidney disease. He was desperately looking for a transplant. And of course, it wasn't granted to him because God wanted him to go home. He leaves behind a wife and I think 2 children. But you look at those years, he was only 41. And he was just a fucking kid. And these are the times when your faith is tested. Why so young? He had so much to live for. He's not going to see his daughter. He's not going to walk his daughter down the aisle. He won't get to see his son play football if he chooses to. He won't enjoy those golden years. 41 years old. And it just goes to show, like the Stoics say, that you have to always value the moment, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. This is a guy who is a professional athlete. Now, we all know that these guys take some form of drugs, whether it's painkillers or not, and that definitely affects the kidneys. But he was an athlete. You're thinking a big man. You're thinking he's going to live a long time. It doesn't always work out that way. And he's gone now at the age of 41. And it's very sad. I didn't know Nick Mangold, obviously, personally, but from what everyone in the media says, from everyone what Jetland says, he wasn't just a great player. He was a great guy. Everybody loved being around him. And it's sad. It's sad when they go this young. It's sad when they go with young children that they're leaving behind. But we pray for him and we pray for his family. We pray for his children. And we hope that he went home to God. And he's looking down on his family with grace and with blessings. And it's just another indication of don't sweat the small stuff, people. Don't worry about not making enough money. Don't worry about not getting that girl in bed. Don't worry about, payments and bills and all that stuff, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. I'm sure we all had stories about guys like Nick, people that get into car accidents, terrible instances where people go young. And we take life for granted sometimes, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Well, there's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friends, Satan is always busy. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. Rest in peace, Nick.